Hi, this is Paula from Go Laser Go, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to design these notebook covers using Lightburn. Now you can see here I've just got an old notebook. Basically I bought this from the op shop, or you might call it Goodwill in the US. It cost me just a couple of dollars, and I basically pulled it to bits, or I pulled the front and back covers off because I wanted to replace it with these nice wooden engraved covers that I made. So this is how I did it. So this is the original notebook, as you can see here, and I just basically pulled the back cover off here. So I just removed it from the ring binder there, and because I wanted to use this as a template, so all I did was I just made some measurements. So I took the length, which for me was 18 centimeters, and you can use inches if you prefer, that's fine. And then I measured the width there, and that was 12 centimeters. So I've got my width and length, and now I needed to measure the little squares. So the little squares measured 6 millimeters, and then the gap between those squares, and that for me was 6.5 millimeters. And finally I just needed the number of squares, and for me that was 14. So once you've got all these measurements together, you can go on to the next step. So now that I've got my measurements, I can start creating the covers. So in Lightburn here, I'm going to click on the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I know that my size is 12 centimeters by 18 centimeters, so I can come up here and put my sizing in. Now if you're working in inches, you can just click on here to change to inches if you prefer, but I'm going to stick to millimeters. And so 12 centimeters, so that will be 120 millimeters is the width. And I'll just unlock this as well, so I can put in different sizing here. And the height is 180, so 18 centimeters is 180 millimeters. So that's the size of the book cover, or the journal cover, and all I need to do now is create the holes on the side here. So again, I've got my measurements already done, so I know that the square is 6 millimeters by 6 millimeters. So I'm going to come back to the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw a little square here, and I'm going to hold the shift key down while I do this so I get a perfect square. And then I can come over to the width and the height, and I'm going to change this to 6 millimeters, 6 by 6. Okay. And now that I've got that there, I'm going to click on the select tool so that it's selected, and I'm going to come down to this grid array option in the sidebar here. So I'm going to click on it, and you'll get a little pop-up appear. And what I want to do is I want to create a column of these squares. So X columns is fine, I can leave that at 1. And the Y rows, I want to change that to 14, because remember I've got 14 squares. So I'm going to just over type that with 14. And then the Y spacing, remember my spacing was, let me see, it was 6.5 millimeters. So I'm going to change that to 6.5. Okay, so you can see on the screen there now, we've created these 14 squares running in a column. So I can go OK, and then I'm just going to select everything. I'm going to click and drag from the bottom here to select them all, and right click, and then group. Now what I want to do is just bring these over to here, and I'm going to line them up something like that. And just to ensure that they're centered, although they look pretty perfect, I'm going to just click and drag, and I'll come up here, and I think I want a horizontal align center. Yep, that's the one. And that just ensures that it's centered top and bottom here. So now I'm going to click and drag from the right here to highlight everything. And then I'm going to right click and group. So that's my front cover done. Now I need the back cover, but all I really need to do there is just right click. I can just duplicate this. So I've got a copy here, and then I just need to flip it. So I come up to arrange, and I'm going to flip horizontal. So all we need to do now is add our design. So I'm going to come up to File, Import, and I've got some SVGs here I'm going to use. Now you could just type text over here as well. You don't have to find an SVG, but I've got these great SVGs that I got from Creative Fabrica, and I'll put a link in the description field below for that. I might go with this one here. Okay, now it's obviously huge, so I'm just going to drag from the corner just to make it smaller. And then I'm just going to drag it up and place it on the front of my cover here. Now bear in mind that these book covers will be cut, and this I'm going to engrave. Now you can also put a design on here that you can cut as well, but I'm going to be engraving this. So this here, I'm going to change the color down the bottom here to red, so the whole lot's in red, and I'm going to change it to fill. And the top here, all the covers that are in black here, they're going to be cut. So I'm going to change those to line. And of course you change the speed and power to suit your particular laser engraver. But otherwise, that's looking good. And I'll just make sure it's centered nicely. Okay, and then I can do that and group it as well, just so that everything stays together. So that's pretty much it. That is done. I'm going to come up here now just to check and see how it will look. Okay, so if we run this through, we can see that it's actually going to cut before it engraves. And I actually want it the other way around. I just think it's a little more stable when it engraves first and then does the final cut. So I'm going to just swap these around, and all I need to do that is just click on this one here, the bottom one, and then drag it up above the other one. And there we go. So now if we check that again, you can see now it's engraving first. It's going to engrave first, and then it's going to cut, which is exactly what I'm after. So I can go OK, and now we're ready to cut and engrave this.